when people demand for reform in other parts of the world. Truly elected leaders want to narrow the concerns of its citizens to a blanket interpretation of unity and national interest. I ask myself, does the Nigerian people deserve to be suffering? Occasionally, I used to get into argument with friends in diaspora why the Nigerian people has maintained the status quo for generations of not speaking out against killings, extortion, and excessive use of force by the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, formerly known as SAS. Some will say that the cry for justice has finally driven the once known suffering and smiling Nigerians to the street. This is how the same government choose to respond by sending the military to kill innocent protesters in the Lekki toll gate. Which government in the modern history will send the military to kill its citizens? The sound you're hearing is the military shooting protesters. This is Nigeria. On this edition of the podcast, I will take you to the room. Please don't go away.
Today, episode. Regularly, like I always say, on my right hand side is Hadi, and you have Ike, and you have Bismarck, and you have a Jane. So, guys, you are all welcome to the show. So, today I would definitely say exactly Bismarck. There is a protest in Nigeria. Of course, the protest has a little bit died down now, and in Europe the protest has apparently continued. So, why is there protest now? What do you think that instigates this protest that is going on in Nigeria?
First of all, thank you for having me, and
welcome.
Greetings to your reviewers. I would say that one reading asks that what is the SARS, and it's Special Anti-Robbery Squad.
Special Anti-Robbery Squad.
And it was formed in 1992.
Yeah.
Before even Nigeria became accepted the democratic rule.
Democratic system. Yeah.
Or should I say before they formed their constitution, which was 1989 constitution. And the SARS was formed with the mission to reduce the high rate of robbery that was happening at that time. Mm-hmm. But the remit of their operations was defined when that very task force was formed. But recent, they've acted beyond their scope.
Beyond their jurisdiction.
Yeah, leading to abuse of powers, infringing upon the human rights of various Nigerians.
Mm-hmm. Fine. Okay. I'll quickly get across to Ice. Would you see that like how would we interpret the NSAS protest? Like, for example, would you base it, when you use some kind of like a theoretical lens, in your own lens to look at it, would you base it on, for example, bad governance, corruption, social system, infrastructure, hunger, and police brutality that is above all that instigate the protest? Then all this, when you combine all these instincts together, then how would you make it?
I think this question you ask is people want to get the really true view of it. It's kind of ongoing because the issue of the NSAS, not really NSAS is a problem.
Okay.
It's political. If I would say mainly it's political, because the SARS, why I say it's political is that the SARS is being used mainly in the west and the southern part of the country. They are not active in the north, especially when you talk about the Islamic, the supposed to call Islamic region of the northern side.
Okay.
They are not active. Even the army are not active there. The police, what they do in the south and the west, they can't do it in the north, because it's now coming. The Nigerian youth are now coming to this clarity that, man, we are being subjected to ill treatment because of whom we are. You understand?
So you mean that the SARS, for example,
The SARS is
the
not.
SARS, for example, is actually not the ultimate problem.
Is not.
The problem is it extends beyond the region.
The problem is not SARS. The problem is political.
It's politically motivated.
Yeah, it's one side trying to dominate the political reign. Like now the SARS, they give the SARS the right to kill. The right to search your phone. They can just stop you and ask you.
That was before. Those are actually the problems that instigate the protest.
Those are the problems that instigate the protest, but it's not going to stop, because if we don't change the system, let everybody feel fairly treated in the system. Let the system come up to be responsible for any actions their agency takes or meted out to a citizen. The agency should be able to speak out, stand for justice. Then I don't think there's anything like, first of all, I don't think there's anything like, let me say, peace in that land if they can't change the system, because this is going to happen again.
But there has to be peace. There has to be peace. It was this.
No, there's no peace. You're calling it peace because it's like it's been hidden. Because of what they're gaining, what the political realm are gaining,
okay.
They try to submerge everything. This answers. It is not today that a copper, a graduate, went to serve her nation, got back home. Her fiance had issue with this SARS guy because she's from the south, southeast precisely. They came to her house to look for the fiancé. They didn't see the fiancé. What's the business between her and the fiancé? She has no deal with whatever they are accusing the fiancé for. The fiancé, whatever they are accusing the fiancé for, she has no business there. But they have to arrest her because of their dubious activities. She lost her life through that. Not just lost her life, they molested her to her death.
That was part of the reason that instigated the.
That's just an ice in the cake. That's nothing to compare to what they have done.
I heard they engage in they extortion, killings,
selling of human parts. They'll just pick you in the streets. The next thing they hear you're dead, your family might not find your body again.
It's just like that.
It's just like that.
And nobody to ask.
And when you talk, the government will submit it. And why is the government always doing this? That means we don't even have a government.
Okay, no problem. I accept that the government is bad, but we'll come to that a little bit. But Jane, I'll get this to you. When you check around the historical political perspective, compared to the Arab Spring, you have the Arab Spring uprising in Tunisia, Egypt, you have in Lebanon, you have in Burkina Faso. So now you have an unorganized protest in Nigeria that just popped up somewhere. And this protest just gained a lot of attention. But now, would you say that there is a Nigerian awakening?
Yeah, in a certain way.
And you say that you will say Nigerian awakening.
In a certain way, because I cannot put all those things in the same bucket, you know.
In the same bucket, okay.
Yeah, sometimes it's really you have to be careful when you take up a situation. You have to understand the root of something, the origin of everything. So it is really complicated to compare what happened in those Arabian countries and what happens in Nigeria.
Okay.
Because I was a little bit interested in that. And anyway, I just found out that in Nigeria what's happening happens especially in Nigeria.
Specifically in Nigeria.
You
did not spill it to other neighboring countries.
Yeah, no, you cannot do that. Because there will be always a small difference. There's always a small difference. That's the reason. So anyway, I just found out that the president of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, just had a speech and just called the Nigerian population to come.
Okay.
But the people was complaining after the speech because they just mentioned that he didn't mention what the SARS have done
in the Lucky Tollgate.
Yeah.
What the massacred people there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that is the reason I just think it is a political problem.
Yes.
Because if the president, in every country, not only in Nigeria,
Okay.
if a president cares of his population,
Yeah.
he have to do everything he can to protect first his population, because the people vote in to protect and to work for them. Yeah, that's the reason, because I agree to with him.
Oh.
Because,
Do you have something to add to that?
With respect to what he's saying, and in context of what the question you posed, I would say that it can be compared to that of Libya.
Yeah.
If you use the uprising in Libya as a case study, then there is the need that the people of Nigeria, our neighbors, do really take this very issue seriously. In the sense that,
there's something you have to
Hold on.
in the sense that most uprisings, if the leaders who are voted into positions do not solve the issue and try to brush it under the carpet, there will always be the point where the youth will try to find a way of taking out the leader, as it happened in Libya.
Yeah.
And I would also say that one cannot say that this issue is only a Nigerian issue. Because if you see what is happening in Nigeria, let's take it that in the worst scenario, there should be a war in Nigeria, which it will not be new, because Nigeria has had a civil war before. If there is a war and people are to move, the only country they will be targeting is my country, that is Ghana.
Yeah.
So as a Ghanaian, I will not say that I am more Catholic than the Pope. I love Nigeria more than my fellow Nigerian here. But he is a Nigerian and he loves his country more than I can say I love his country.
Exactly.
But as a Ghanaian, even in diaspora, I would say that my brothers in Nigeria should do their best to push their leaders to the point where they will see that they are called to serve. They are not called to have an autocratic system. And I would also add that in respect of this very organization, or should I say this uprising, there is something strange about this uprising.
Why?
There is something strange. This is the first time that you've seen a call by people who are trying to fight something, and at the same time they are saying they want the better of that thing.
Exactly.
Because they have no leaders in the uprising. They cannot see that this is their leader, but they have demands. And they have 5 demands. And these 5 demands, the last of it is that they want a reform. They want the police remuneration to be increased. So who would then ask that how come that these people want the police to get a better pay if it's not for the good interest of their country? So if these 5 demands that they've put across, first of all, if I'm to list it, if you give me time to list it, the 5 demands, first of all, they are asking that there should be a release of those that they've arrested.
Yeah, release of
There should be an end and a ban of their SARS. And they are also calling that those who have been molested, those who have been maltreated, they should be compensated.
Yeah.
And not only that, they are also asking that those officials who have in one way or the other abused their powers, they should be called in line. There should be a psychological evaluation of them, and then they should be held accountable. And one thing is, they've gotten the first part, which is the banding of the SARS, but the main thing on the table is that justice should not only be served, justice should be seen to be served. So if you give justice, if you say that you've dealt with the issue, the people should see that there is justice.
You are doing it. The people should feel it.
They should see the evidence of it.
Yes. You want to add something to it?
I like what you say, comparing it to Gaddafi. When it was the issue of Gaddafi, do you know why there's something, this problem, if you watch, there's uprising everywhere. There's chaos even in the most peaceful place in the world that you think is peaceful. There's still some minor chaos, and that could blow if the government is not able to manage it.
The government.
You understand? You understand? So this issue now, the NSAS movement, actually, the Nigerian youth use it as a means to address other issues, especially politically, when you talk about restructuring of the constitution. Imagine a constitution of a country being made by only a group, a few set of people from certain region.
Yeah, but don't get out of the point.
No, we are still in the point. If it's NSAS,
yeah,
I'm in Nigeria.
yeah.
Once it concerns NSAS, it's not just about NSAS, because even if SARS they end, we don't accept the swap. The swap is not, it's still SARS. We don't call it, we don't need anything swap, police, we don't need anything Nigerian police. What we need now is to restructure the system. If you restructure,
Can you say you don't need anything like the Nigerian police?
Listen.
Who's going to keep the orders?
sorry, we don't need them. Do you know why we don't need them?
Okay.
Once that system is still there, they'll still produce same thing, because the system has always been rebranding that name. It was anti-robbery squad. From anti-robbery squad, they add special to it. Now, this SWAT have come before. This SWAT have come before under Buhari regime. This same Buhari, he has used this SWAT to cause a lot of mayhem.
Okay.
You understand? So this coming back is the same thing. What we need at the end of the protest, when the Nigerian youth, after they say they have changed, they have banned the SARS.
Okay.
The Nigerian youth, we are like, nobody's going home until you come together. I want to see our president speak to us, come out, we talk, and we talk about restructuring the political system. You understand me? And this goes out to world leaders. No, I have to finish. This goes out to world leaders. The issue of Gaddafi was very pronounced. Everyone was talking about it. Gaddafi was killing people, wherever was killing people. But Gaddafi have not killed half of what Buhari has killed. And how I know is that in the north, go and watch a lot of documentaries. Christians are dying in number. Muslims that doesn't believe in radical ways of doing things are dying in number. Every day, if it's not less, 100 people die in the north. Every day.
How can you back this claim?
How can I back those claims? You go back to the journals, what is being presented to UN, and UN is saying nothing.
Okay, fine, no problem. I get you what you mean. We'll go back to that shortly. Hadi, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, well, I'm kind of happy with what you said, because I think it's a bit, it might be, but I'm wondering, like, if you do it with like Gaddafi, that you change the whole system, that's the one thing, because you take hands on politics, but I'm wondering how you push that that will to change the whole system from like deconstructing, not the whole system, but a part of it, which is the SARS then, right? I mean, that doesn't really not necessarily alter the
Let me
problem.
explain why you need to change the system.
Okay, I'll give you time to do that.
Hadi, you need to change the system because the constitution gives so much power to those in the office, in government office.
Yeah.
Those on government appointment, they have so much power, and this has led to corruption. And you check the problem of those SARS, they are hungry. They are being used by the politicians to do their dirty works.
Yeah.
You understand? So how can you tell a hungry man that has kids at home, you're paying him less than what he needs, his expenses. You're paying him less than his expenses every month end, and you're expecting him to stay off crime.
But how do you think the situation will get better with just deinstalling the SARS?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, then you have a bigger problem.
No.
Okay.
The situation can never get better reinstalling the SARS. The situation will only get better if they say, okay, the constitution is wrong.
Yeah.
Those in office cannot earn more than they are supposed to earn. They are supposed to earn a moderate salary. You have to respect the resources of the country. When things are being done like that, then the police will have a fear that anything I do, those in office will know there's no immunity for them. Anything you commit, you pay for it. There's justice. So when this fear is there, the whole politicians will coordinate the activities, and if you can coordinate your activities, then making the law, the judiciary have a lot of power to punish whoever they want to punish. The police on the road will know, for me to put on this uniform is a pride of the country that I'm representing.
any mistake I make, I'll pay dearly for it.
Okay.
So once things are done like this, everything goes.
I'll just give you time to actually.
Yeah, what he's saying, everything comes to accountability.
Yeah.
And I would say that the main thing that we should be mindful of is that when we have an uprising result is a product of a demand.
Okay.
Uprising is a product of a demand. And when you have a demand, there should be a leader. Because my brother here is calling that they want them to sit down and then have things resolved. But the question is, who are we to sit down with? Because this uprising has no leader, yet they have the demand. That means that there are people who see, who...
Can I correct you?
Wait, 1 minute. Let me just...
Because I speak to fact. I speak to fact. Right now, there is no one who can point that this one or this man is the leader of this very uprising. But we also have people who are behind, who think that it's a right cause, but they are not bold enough to come out. So if those people behind who believe in this idea, I would say that there should be a call on them to come up, to rise up, and then make those potential demands, which I agree. They should be bold enough to come out and then face the authorities so that there should be a uniformity. Because I agree to most of the demands that they are making, and the demand is for the betterment of our neighbors, that's the Nigerians. Mm-hmm. But when there is an uprising where it is not constructive, in terms of its leadership, anyone can do anything, right? And that can result in something like what happened in Libya. Yeah. And I don't want that to happen. In every country, he's making a call for the change of the people in authority. I totally disagree with him in the sense that when it comes to changing people in authority, you put them there on the various rules. You put them there on a term, and when you put them there on a term and based on the constitution, you should also follow the same constitution in removing them. And in removing them, for instance, if you check the 1999 constitution, the Nigerian constitution, section 143 of the Nigerian constitution, which speaks about the impeachment of their president, mm-hmm. There are various rules that they've stated which they should go through to remove the president or the vice. And if you check those various rules, it's so detailed that you cannot say that it's not done in the interest of the populace. Yeah. Because it calls for that if anyone sees that the president or the vice has done anything that is of grievous offense, they can initiate this very thing. And when they initiate it, it goes through the National Assembly, and the National Assembly, all that the National Assembly has to do is to send a copy to the president and send a copy to all the members, and the president can choose to respond to it or not. If he doesn't even respond to it, they still have the right to go forward with the impeachment, provided that 2/3 of the majority of the National Assembly agrees to it. Yeah. And if you read the impeachment process, it's so detailed. But I always say that when it comes to removing people in authorities, you should follow the rules, because at the end, when you are given the power, you also use rules in governing the various people who are under you. So I always beg my fellow Nigerians that I agree that there come a time that there will be a government where you will not agree to the way he's ruling. There will come a time that you will have various grievances. But when you have these things, you should do your best to use appropriate means in resolving it. And I know my brother is going to say that the National Assembly, I want to jump the gun. I want to jump the gun.
No, everything you're saying is...
I want to jump the gun, but I always say that this very program that we are having is an educative program, exactly, where we give information, and the information we need to give, it should be information that is based on fact. These things that I've spoken of, anyone who is watching can check it online, or you can even open the Nigerian Constitution. The National Assembly in Nigeria, the members of it were elected by the people.
Exactly.
It's not that they elected only the president. Boom.
They also
the National Assembly, they also
parliamentarians.
elected them. So if the president is not doing something right, the National Assembly can also initiate it. And they say it should be a grievous offense. I don't want to give the details of what a grievous offense is, but anything that goes contrary to the Constitution is something that when the president does, they can initiate the impeachment process for the removal of the president or the vice.
Thank you very much for that. Do you have something to add to? Yeah, okay, hold on. Yeah, I'll come back to you. So I'm going to give this to your life, for example. You see, the Nigerian youth, for example, you see that they flooded the streets. And like he said, that there was no protest leading. And this is agreed.
Yeah.
Fine. Now, you see that at the moment they flood the street, the celebrities in Nigeria also join them in solidarity to them.
Yeah.
So would you base it on that? Can we say that the Nigerian people has had enough?
Absolutely, Nigerian people have had enough. But the main issue here is that I want to go back to something. I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
Does a revolution has a leader?
Most of the revolution you see, there are people who you see they stand. But in this Nigerian part, there is not a revolution.
Sorry.
Don't compare it to revolution.
Sorry.
There are people who you speak to. There are people who say we represent this certain group. But
you check perfectly where Black Lives Matter. Does it have a